All right, so we're talking 2013 Breeders' Cup with Mike Shuddy, the author of the Super Screener. I'm Mark Midland, co-founder of Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars. Mike Shuddy coming to you from the West Coast, also co-founder Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars. How you doing, partner?
Hey, real good, Mark. How are you?
Good, good. So you've been going over all the races. Have you gotten any sleep at all?
No sleep. I've been on an IV drip with caffeine and for the last 2 weeks, and loving every minute of it. Because, as you know, for horse players, we've got Christmas Eve and Christmas Day coming up Friday and Saturday.
Oh yeah, some amazing races, huge fields, so tough to separate. That's what makes the Super Screener so important to cut through. And tell us a little bit about how you go about cutting through and separating those contenders from pretenders.
Well, I think what's neat is that the screener now has about 15 years of data that's supporting the ultimate screening criteria. And what's really cool, it's unique for each race. So you have about 10 to 12 screening criteria. It's time tested. I think that's the best part. And we kind of forget from year to year, even I do. And when you sit down with this, at this time of year, you get to go through it again and go, oh yeah, I remember. And then as we take each year's results, we get to update and modify ever so slightly, but it keeps improving as a system. So this year was no exception in terms of really taking the field through, understanding, who are the win contenders? How do we separate them from losers? What are the vulnerable favorites that people were going to stack money against? They're marquee names that we can take a stand against. And of course, there's probably in 2 days, maybe 30, 35 horses that will go off at 20 to 1 or higher. Which of those have the best shot to hit the board?
That's what I'm waiting for is those bombers. It's just trying to get the right ones. But you're right. I mean, you can't play every one, and so you can go through your bankroll really quick. And so just trying to zoom in on the ones that really have a shot, that are really kind of the not the wise guy horses, but the horses that are really well meant that people don't really see, like you said, that have those odds.
I think that's what the fans have been sharing with us. It's the Super Screener. Basically, to sum it up in one word, it brings them conviction. The Belmont with us having Palace Malice on top, there was no question about it. We were totally locked into that. That's why we clicked on those 8 trifectas. But conviction is the key.
Yeah, no, that's so true, and that helped. I mean, we were going crazy when Palace Malice won, but I worked everything around Palace Malice, and even though I wasn't in love with Oxbow and Orb, kind of brought it together. And like you said, having conviction on a 12 to 1 shot made all the difference in the world.
Sure, sure. Plenty
So
of that here for these 2 days of racing.
yeah, yeah. So Mike, you're saying that there's so many races that you just can't wait for the weekend that you're excited about. Give us one. What's one race that you're really excited about that kind of jumps off the page at you?
Well, I'll tell you, for our members only, the Sprint Turf, I cannot wait to get in there. But of the 14 races, that might be my favorite betting race. But there's plenty of other options here. For instance, I really love, again, it's always one of my traditional favorites, the Sprint race here, no exception this year, coming up to be another great wagering race.
And wow, I mean, it's just the sprint is always super tough. Trinidad what kind of shocked everybody last year. Obviously, a talented horse. What makes the sprint so exciting besides a deep field, and it's very tough to decipher. I mean, what's different this year? Is it something about the pace or something that's popping out on the super screener?
Well, last year it was tough because that bias that everyone certainly had
Yeah.
recognized, developed rather quickly on Friday and Saturday. So a lot of that impacted the races tremendously. But this year it seems like the track is playing a bit fair. Let's hope that persists on Friday and Saturday. We're getting a little moisture here in Southern California. That can't hurt. Leading up to those 2 sunny days. But so I think it's going to play a little bit fair, which for me, when you get a fair surface and you get, these just blow out of the gate sprinters that are, literally always setting, these incredible paces. Who's going to survive? Who has stamina? Who's in the right form cycle? Who does the super screener think is going to be on top?
Well, and I mean, and that's the thing I think it makes these races so difficult that people don't always realize is, even the Grade One races, every week in week out, they may have 7 or 8 or 9 horses in there, but a lot of times half the field doesn't belong. So there's only two horses that are really kind of maybe knocking it on each other up front, and then maybe one good presser or closer. And so these fields are so contentious. So what's popping out at you? Who's popping out at you for the sprint this year?
Well, as we gave away in an earlier video, I think one thing for certain, we're taking a very, very firm stand against Trinneberg. Now, Trinneberg was in our toss list last year. This year, though, I think he'll fulfill because he didn't miss that many criteria last year. This year, he's just a complete flop on all the super screener criteria. I think he meets about 40% maybe. And in this field where you have a ton of horses meeting 80, 70% of that criteria, he's a complete stand against. And he'll go off, maybe 8-1, 7-1, just in the fact that he won the race last year.
Yes, definitely. And I saw that you even talked about other horses that didn't meet the criteria. What are one of the long shots that you like in the sprint that you think could really surprise here?
Well, I think maybe not super long, but I think Fast Bullet's going to get overlooked a little bit. I think because of that last race, ran up the track. But a little bit longer, if you start understanding that this is a 6 furlong race on a very fast track, not a sloppy surface. This horse has brilliance. It's just that he's obviously been troubled in terms of injuries. So if this horse is right, we might get 10-1 on this horse. And the super screeners move this one up to the number 2 slot when it comes to ranking this field. So I think that one creates a ton of value in a race where I think we're going to get a lot of attention on horses that don't deserve it.
Definitely. And anything else that's from the sprint that really pops out? I mean, it's still 14 horses, very difficult.
When you think about it, you've got out of the field of, I think there are, 12 horses going, you have 8 horses that are either pace or pressers. That is a ton of pressure and contentious pressure up front. Now, it's a track that is rather usually kind to speed, and there's a lot of sprinters here that have the stamina to hang on. Private Zone is one of those perfect examples when you watch those last replays. Just a gritty horse that, when challenged, just keeps digging in and coming back. Top choice within the super screener for sure.
Definitely tough as nails. Definitely doesn't want to get past. Very impressed I was watching his last race at Belmont. What about Secret Circle? That was one that I saw the screener was rated pretty high. I was a little surprised on that. How did he fit in?
Yeah, Secret Circle works because one of the criteria, it's the only race, by the way, of the 14 races, where a long layoff or super fresh horses are actually a positive. And here's a horse that's been off for a long, long time, came back, but ran a very usable prep. In other words, didn't run way over the top, didn't create a lifetime top, ran a race that you would expect this horse to run. It just seems like this one's training well, has a lot of move up, and that's what the screener's seeing, is that cycle-wise, this horse looks like he could be every bit as good as he was when we were all watching last year.
Awesome. All right, well, can't wait for the sprint as well as the downhill sprint that you mentioned and several others. So that's all the time we have right now, Mike. So thank you so much for joining us. And the Super Screener is still on sale. You can get it at superscreener.com. And you'll be joining us for some more members-only videos as well?
That's correct. We have a couple more lined up, and I tell you, I cannot wait to do some reveals on those 2 races.
Oh, what a great 2 days of racing. Going to be some gigantic payoffs. So definitely want to be armed with the best information that you have, that you can get to nail those big, juicy payoffs on Breeders' Cup Day. So find it at superscreener.com. And Mike, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Let's go for that score of a lifetime.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.